This episode is brought to you by Honda. When you test drive the all-electric Prologue SUV, there's a lot that could impress you about it. There's the generous passenger space, the clean, thoughtful design, and the intuitive technology. But out of everything, what you'll really love most is that it's a Honda. Visit honda.com/EV to see offers.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Fifth Quarter Studios in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to Coach Unplugged. And now, your host, Steve Collins.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Coach Unplugged. We're so excited you decided to join us. Make sure you go over and leave those 5-star reviews. If you like this, go over and listen to our other podcasts like the 5-Minute Basketball Coaching Podcast or High School Hoops or Funnel Down Defense or Coaching Youth Hoops or whatever one of the 7 in our network that you would like to listen to. But before we jump in, I'd like to give a big shout out to our 2 sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the #1 shooting machine on the market. They are always, what I love about Dr. Dish is they're always innovating. They're always making that a little bit better. And that's why I think they're the best machine out there. Like I've said before, we own 3 of them, and I would not be talking about them every day if I did not believe in them. Mention Coach Unplugged, they'll give you $450 off, and they'll give you A1 customer service. And then also what helps keep the lights on, what helps keep everything moving is teachhoops.com. It's for coaches who want to get better. It is a one-stop shop by a basketball coach for a basketball coach. I'm always working with my team 365 days a year, working on making us better. And I want to do the same thing for you. I'm giving you resources, one-on-one calls, office hours, a roadmap per se that will help you become a better coach. And we offer a 14-day free trial because I believe you should come in and kick the tires around and see if it's right for you. If it's not, that's fine. But I guarantee that you're going to love it. All right, let's head off to the podcast.
I'm in one of my favorite cities today.
I know. It's funny because
filming on location.
We are filming on location, but we're not techie enough to figure out how to do it in the same spot. So he's in a different room than I am.
But we're literally in the same apartment.
Complex. We're 20 feet from each other. But anyway, it's okay. I can't hear you. So that's good.
This is a Coaching Youth Hoops first.
It is a first. We didn't do it last time we met to do.
No, we didn't do any podcasts together.
I know.
In the same place.
We were worrying about other things. All right, which we'll talk about. We should talk about we should talk about that too at some point. What we're talking about. So before we get into today's topic, I think you should talk about what we're doing a little bit.
Yeah. So Coach and I are met in Chicago.
The windy city.
Yeah. He had a short 6-hour train ride, and I had a 4-hour flight. Anyway, we decided to meet here, one of our favorite places. But we have a new project going on, and our hope is. Well, let me back up. Our mission has always been the same, which is to positively influence 1 million kids in the next 10 years. And we identified some problems in youth sports and in youth basketball in particular. And we are solving some of those issues. This one in particular, we're going to keep it under wraps for just a little bit longer, but it's something pretty exciting that we're working on that will have a big impact for parents and to help them reduce costs for youth sports, because that is one of the things that is rising for parents is the cost of sports, and it's keeping kids from not being able to
Good play.
participate,
I
right?
know it
And
is.
after you see the stock market drop the last 2 days, you might be making a decision of what to cut.
Right.
So
And
anyway,
is there
stay tuned
anywhere
for
they
more
can go find
information.
it? Yeah,
So
go. Can they find more information, or are we teasing? We're really
we're
teasing, aren't
just teasing.
we?
Yeah,
We're just
big
teasing.
tease.
We're
Yeah,
a
big
big
tease
tease.
right now.
Okay. So today's topic, talking about camps a little bit, right?
Yeah, we're talking about camps. It's coming up into camp season, right? And I'm sure you're probably thinking about how do you structure a youth basketball camp and what are the most important things to teach? Do you do stations that, they're rotating from one station to another? How do do you break it out where there's like a head coach who says, okay, now we're going to work on layups. So every small group is working on layups. Um, I don't know. How do you usually structure your
Okay,
camps?
so there's a couple things. I think so. I'll go through the kind of my category and so I look to the
Mhm.
side here. I'm looking at my notes a little bit, but
Yeah.
I first thing is I structure busyness is important. Like they got to be doing something.
Oh, they gotta be
I hate
moving.
camps where they're not doing and they're not
I
standing.
agree.
Either they're not using their brains or they're not using their feet or
I
arms or
hate
whatever.
practices that way
I
too.
do. Anything you do with
Yeah.
anything, I don't like that. So structure is important. Um, at the youth level, there's a couple things. I want to do skill work. So I want to work on fundamentals. I know some people think that's horrible, but it's like you can't do calculus until you can add. You have to
Hmm.
add before you can do calculus. So we got to work on some fundamental things. I want to incorporate that. I want to incorporate them building their basketball knowledge on their own. So I want some small sided game. I want things where they read and are able to learn. Some of that is in station work, some of it isn't in station work, depending on what my stations look like. If it's my assistant coaches versus maybe my juniors or seniors, there are different levels of ability there, obviously, as far as being able to correct and to move them down the right direction. So I always like to have some of those things. I love games. um, and the games probably are more like the fun games like dribble tech are more at the younger youth level than the higher youth level. And then as you move up the youth level, the games can be more like we're going to do 3-on-3 continuous. We're going to do things where they can compete against each other and use the fundamentals and the development of their own skills to read things. And we'll do that at levels in which we'll do first levels where we'll do some of that and we'll do stoppage and startage of play. So we'll mix them and then we'll just let them go as far as some of those fun games and stuff. But all of those pieces I think are important when you're building a camp. And having it mapped out. It's like a lesson plan. You better have a good practice plan. It's like a practice plan. You better have a really good practice plan if you want to make it work.
Well, and one of the things I remember you always saying too is have a plan B, just in case that drill just isn't working, right? In the camp situation, or depending on how many players you have, right? So always have like for that hour, or I'm sorry, for that drill section, maybe it's 8 to 10 minutes. You have your primary, but just in case you have a secondary drill as a backup.
Well, and I tell teachers this, I tell people that have student teachers, I said, if you have a 55-minute class or a 2-hour practice, if I have a 55-minute stats class, I'm going to have an hour and a half worth of material
Mhm.
ready to go because I never know. And I
Right.
can always do
Yeah.
it the next day. And it's the same thing with camp. If you have a 2-hour camp, you better have almost 4 hours worth of stuff because some stuff's not going to
Hmm.
work unless you've
Right.
done it. Now, I kind of know it works. I've done it long enough that I kind of know, but they're still like, whoa, this group can't do this. I got to
Yeah. It's the
pivot.
variable is the group,
Is the
right?
group. Is the
Yeah.
group. And I've done it long enough. I can go from A to C pretty quick, but there's still an influx of, oh shoot, I gotta move from A to C. It's gonna take a couple minutes. We got to regroup, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden I lost 5-10 minutes and now I'm like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, or they get it so fast that they're bored with this and I'm losing them. I got to pivot. Yeah, I think that's a big thing of it.
And the structure itself, length, what do you think the ideal length is for, again, we're talking eighth grade and below. And the idea of do you have stations or is the head coach saying, okay, now we're gonna work on 3-on-3, and then all six baskets are just doing 3-on-3.
I think you do
And this,
both. Because
okay.
sometimes it's good for them to, I do a pretty good lesson on free throw shooting. So I gather them
Mm-hmm.
all together, do the lesson on free throw shooting, which lasts 5 minutes, about routine, about some of them don't even
Hmm.
know there's a nail on the floor in a good gym
Yeah.
thing at the
Yeah.
middle. I just talk about, and what should you be looking at, and all those kind of things. And sometimes with the younger ages, I'll do that with shooting layups. What are you trying to do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll show them I can throw it off the top of the board and it will go in. But if I shoot anyway, so there's some things I do lesson wise. But
Hmm.
that's not as much. But then I'll split
What
them
is,
off into groups
oh,
and
oh,
maybe
uh-huh.
and again, at the older levels, I do like station work in the sense that if I have good station workers at the
The
basket,
coaches. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
the basket personnel because it's
Yeah.
so much better because you can be progressive on what you're teaching. Um,
Hmm.
you know, maybe if you're doing maybe small, so you can go from 1-on-1, 2-on-2 to 3 on or something, or maybe you're working on pivots or you're working on
Yeah.
something like that. Um, it's an effect. I mean, there's a reason people still do it. I think it's a really effective. It's not one of those things that I think needs to go away, but it is only as strong as the basket leader.
Yeah. No, that's a
Um,
good point. Right. And how
and if you have,
technical they are in
and
teaching
how
and how
technical
good
and if
they're.
they're good, and part of it
Yeah.
is I'm teaching my guys. So at my camp, it's my high school guys tend to work more with the baskets, which is good because then I strategically put this kid needs work on post moves. I'm going to put him in charge of teaching post moves.
Right.
So the best way to learn something is to teach someone.
Hmm.
It's like I remember that from my education classes. One of the first things I learned in one of my education, we had to teach the class a card game they didn't know. Had to teach like it was, 30 years ago, but it's like that's hard if you have to
Yeah.
know it really well to be able to teach it to everyone so that they can play it. Um, so it's a hard task. But then I mean, I think I taught euchre, which I played euchre my entire life, but you don't forget things like that you learn. Um,
Right.
anyway,
Yeah, I use a lot of my players too. I even will use my eighth graders to teach the third graders. And you can see that they're a lot more technical when they're teaching it. So that tells me, okay, they know the material, right? I really enjoy
right,
watching them because they love it. It it motivates them as
right,
well. And they
right.
realize, oh yeah, I remember when I was, or a lot of them will say, Coach, you've been coaching me for a long time. Was I like that? I'm like, yep,
Yep, you
yeah,
were.
you were, right? Yeah, you
It's
were.
empathy. It's empathy.
Yeah. And then they learn a lesson, right?
Right.
Let's talk about length. So, there's two pieces to this. So length of a camp, uh,
No more than a
from
couple
start to
hours.
finish, 3 hours max,
Yeah,
2.5.
max. I think 3.5 is long, especially for the
Mhm.
younger ages. I think two is the max. Um,
I mean, if you're doing like kindergarten age, first grade, hour and a half,
yeah, yes,
and then third,
it's hurting
third,
cats at that age. It's hurting
yeah,
cats, basically.
maybe third and fourth or third and up. We do two and a
We do
half, three
two. I think we
hours.
do two, 2.5. I mean, I got to remember in our camp, but I think the younger ages is a couple hours. And then I think we get to 3 hours by the time they're in seventh and eighth. But even after, I mean, if they're working hard, 3 hours is a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I know
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
parents
Three
wish
hour
it lasted
practice.
all day so they could just drop them
Yeah.
off at 7 and pick them up at 4. But
Hmm.
I don't think that's a constructive way of teaching them either, though. Um,
And then
yeah,
what about length of the station
I
or the
go.
drill work?
Oh, that's less 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes.
Hmm.
I'd rather do more stations. So we tend to do offensive stations, defensive station, game stations. I mean,
It's
but
just
more,
moving.
yes, you got to keep them moving, and it keeps the kids in. So that if it's 5 minutes and there's six baskets, they're doing it for half an hour. The basket people are. So it's like you don't want
Hmm.
more than
Hmm.
that as far as
Yeah.
keeping them engaged. I think.
And then the personnel that you have. So let's say it's a multi-day camp, right? Meaning, it's a summer, you're in the summer and you're going 9 to noon, right? and then maybe the second session comes in from noon to 3, right? And
Yep.
you split it up that way. Are you rotating the staff from camp to camp, rotating them to a different station? Do you
Yeah, but
move
and
your got your
we also don't. I don't like if we do youngs in the morning and older kids in the afternoon. I don't. I make them come to one session because they're just better if they. I can't. I don't make them stay the whole time. I do
uh-huh.
rotations. I like them to get good at a basket. We only go 4 days too. We only do Monday through
Yeah,
Thursday because I think
yeah,
Fridays
typically we do.
summer is. I think it's
Right.
better focus.
Hmm.
But I have found because and again, there's exceptions. There's kids that want to stay all day
Yeah,
and they tend to be really good.
yeah.
Because they want to do it or they want to be a that's great. But most of them, their attention, even the counselors, it's not no. You do this, and I strategically pick this kid's going to be better with younger kids. This one's going to be better with older.
Right. So that's a good
There's
point.
I
Yeah,
know their
yeah, exactly.
personalities.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's a really good point. And what about when you're thinking about the the makeup of a camp itself? You kind of hinted at it a little bit, but are you thinking about it from a game perspective
Yeah,
where
so
you're
I do a
okay, we're
lot of
gonna go
different. I'll do it,
offense, defense?
and there's different camps I'll run. I'll do an offensive skills camp. I'll do a defensive skill camp. I'll do a
Uh-huh.
camp that I talk about a little bit of everything.
Okay.
I will do a games camp. I've done games camp. The kids love game
What
camp.
is that? What does that
That's where
mean?
they just we play games. Like we work on game skill things like offensive stuff, and then they play. It's and they break up into teams and the kids coach them, and it tends to be a little shorter camp, but it's a couple hours. First 45 minutes is working on how do you run a motion offense? What does defense look like? Blah blah blah, and then we play. They play for a really long time, and we break them
Mhm.
up into we tend to do Monday tends to be the lesson. Here we go, and then we'll do day two. We'll have the counselors draft because they'll kind of know the players, so that balances them out, the teams out, and then we'll have A plays B, and the kids will officiate, and they love it. I mean, they would first of all they want to play games anyway, so
Right. That's all they want to do.
that's all they
Shoot
want to do anyway.
threes.
But it's just a nice change up, and to work on some of those skills, and yeah. Anyway,
I
so
mean, because that's a really good idea because just learning the skill, but then what's the application of that in a game situation? The one thing that I do, and I actually do this, and I've implemented it as a staple now into my practices, but at every camp we do it, some sort of whatever you want to do size wise, but 3-on-3, no dribble. Because what that brings out, you think about it, you can't dribble. So what do you have to do? You got to work on learning how to get open, right? So we work on, because it's not just, well, oh, we're just going to let them play and try to get open. We'll let them play, teach, let them play, teach, right? So that tends to be a little bit longer session than the 5 minutes you're talking about. Like, and that's everybody in the gym is kind of doing that, would be doing that at the same time. And we'll go maybe 15 minutes with that, but we're stopping teaching. And I always, I instruct the kids how to do it. Like it's a 30-second timeout fix. The kids meaning the other or the teachers, right? The coaches and the fix, let them play. Fix, let them play for a few minutes, right? It's kind of this back and forth.
so one
That
of the
way
big
you're learning a lot.
so one
Sorry.
of the
Yeah,
big
go ahead.
things for me is like most camps, like the generic camp, the camp I'm teaching, I want it to be fun. I want to work on
Yeah.
shooting and I want to work on dribbling. Those are the
Yeah.
big
So that,
skills.
like if you were if that was the only thing that you could do and had time for, obviously
Make sure
make it
it's
fun.
fun. So it's
Right.
some sort of game thing. I don't know if
Hmm.
it's fun for the older guys is playing 5-on-5. That's fun for them, kind of
Right.
thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
fun, dribbling,
Hmm.
shooting. Not in
Yeah.
that necessarily in that order. It would probably go shooting. It would go fun, or obviously, but then it would go shooting and then dribbling.
Yeah.
Shooting would be
And
a higher priority for me.
what I typically do is we'll do, depending on the intensity of the drill, I like you, I keep them 5 to 8 minutes and then move on. We'll do 2 to 3 of those and stop for a fun activity. And I make sure throughout my camp, every 3 or 4 drills. So that's every half hour, 45 minutes ish, right? We're stopping and doing something quote unquote fun, right? Where they're still learning basketball skills, but at the same time, it's an activity that breaks the drill type, right? Pac-Man,
I love that. I
um,
love it. Dribble drive, dribble tag, all that stuff.
dribble tag. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
All right. Anything else, Coach? You want to
Yeah,
give a big
coaches.
shout out?
Yeah, we are launching a new podcast. We're diving into the business of youth sports. We're taking a kind of behind the scenes look at the innovators making a difference
It's going to
in,
be awesome, actually. I'm
yeah.
super excited about it.
We have a number of great speakers coming up in the queue. And I would get on that list, go to youthsportsinsider.com. We have what would I say? A goat, a whale coming up in
Oh,
that
we got a big one.
podcast.
We're just going to tease it. Someone is like, oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
So give that URL again. You're going to want to get on this. It's great to talk. Yeah.
So if you're an operator, if you're a gym owner, a tournament director, you're an AD, you run a program, these guys are going to help you make it better, run it
Right.
better, make more money, right,
Yes.
etc. So go to youthsportsinsider.com, youthsportsinsider.com.
All right, we'll put that on the show notes. All right, I'll see you next week, but I'm going to see you in about 5
When we're
minutes.
done here.
Yeah, we're going to go eat. All right, bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like. We love those. And send me an email, steve@teachhoops.com. Tell me what you want to hear in the future. Also, go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. Have a great day.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Memorial Day doorbuster deals are here at Lowe's. Right now, rewards members save $80 on the Master Forge 4-burner gas grill, now just $149. Plus, rewards members save $900 on the Lowe's exclusive Hisense French door refrigerator, now only $999. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/26. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details. Program subject to terms and conditions. Details at Lowe's.com/terms. Subject to change.